If I was to invest in a company right now, I would probably invest in either Meta or Microsoft. As Meta recently broke the record for the highest market cap gain. Now more and more people are coming to realize that technology is the key to the future.
The main thing I would bring out of saving money now is if you start saving early and get the benefit of compounding, time is your friend. And the good thing for all of you guys is, starting at 11, by the time you're retiring aged 65, you'll have had the benefit of saving for 50 years. We get all of that compounding.
Hello, my name is Aryan Shekar, the Chancellor of the Children's Parliament. Today, I have the great honour of speaking with Mr. Peter Davies, a great leader in the world of finance. Shaping the future of Lansdowne partners, he is well known in the finance business. Not only that, but he also co-founded Oxford Science Enterprises, OSE. This interview is a pivotal moment for all of us on our journey to true financial literacy. How often does someone my age get to be taught by someone so great as Mr. Peter Davies, alongside my classmates Edgar, Chip, Kai and Johnny? Today, the secrets of financial literacy shall be uncovered. So my first question to you, Mr. Davies, is that why is it important for kids to learn about money and finance from a young age?
That's a great question, and thank you, Chancellor. I think you framed it a moment ago by describing it as a mystery or secret. And I think the thing about finance is often it can come across as something that's really complicated, but actually it's something that affects everyone. As you guys grow up, you can take lots of decisions about, do you want to buy a house? Do you want to get a mortgage? Where should you put your savings? So everyone has to do finance, and yet often it comes across as something that's incredibly complicated. So I think it's really important, almost the most important thing actually as a younger person, is not to worry about it, to actually find it interesting and find it something that you feel comfortable talking about. The other thing is that actually finance is everywhere. The world, trying to understand the world around you is almost impossible if one doesn't at least partly understand finance, whether it's how did the global financial crisis affect things, whether it's who provides the funding for the great developments like AI and so forth. It's also really interesting because of that, because actually anything that happens in the real world is really important. It reflects itself back in finance. The share prices of, when Roblox, everyone starts using Roblox, it has bet there's probably 5 out of 5 in here. The Roblox share price starts going up along the way. So actually, weirdly, all the stuff that you do day to day comes through in finance and makes it really interesting. And then I think the last thing, which is probably a broader point, is, the financial decisions you take, are about choices. It's about, should I save money today because I want to buy something in the future? And those kind of choices, are part of growing up. As a grown-up, one has to sort of, think about these things the whole time. And I think two aspects of it, of especially saving at an early age, that are really important, is just getting used to the idea of saying, what do I want more? Do I want something tomorrow, which I have to save for, in which case I might not get any sweets today or something like that? That kind of choice is kind of what being a grown-up often is about. And so I think thinking about money in that way is really helpful, just as part of one's personal development. And also it's incredibly satisfying. I think we all find when we work hard for something and you actually get a reward at the end of it, it's better than if it's just everything's given to you. And I hope what you guys will all find is, to the extent you make choices where you say, I'm not going to get anything today, tomorrow, the next day, but at the end of it, I get something really nice. I think hopefully you'll all learn how satisfying that is, and it'll make you, the rewards one gets from that kind of work and the kind of difficult choices you make, again, are sort of part of growing up. Where should we get? Thank you. Okay.
If we wanted to start a small business as kids, what financial advice would you give us?
I think with everything one does in finance, doing something you know best is all really important. Especially in business, things are very competitive. Lots of people are trying to do some really exciting things. I think, and this will also be what you're most passionate about, which is also nice about business, is if you're passionate about something, you tend to be good at it. But my main advice would be, what is it I know more about than the people I'm selling to? You know, and you'll be surprised. There are lots of, even though you guys are quite young at the moment, tons of things you know more about than, you know, I didn't. So, give you an example of the decision we're trying to take at the moment. We're thinking about whether to invest in Sony or not. And Sony, hey, anyone heard of the PlayStation? Yes, I know. So one of the interesting questions we've got at the moment is, you know, on the one hand, everyone uses a PlayStation today, and it's very, you know, they're very popular. On the other hand, will that in 10 years time, do you think you guys will be using it, or the people your age will be using it?
I believe that.
Should we do one at a, yeah, exactly. Let's take one at a time. So, out of your point of view, it's great. Well, Carl, what do you think?
I think the technology of consoles would have advanced, and all our popular games that we love to play on the PlayStation or Xbox would have probably phased into using the virtual reality headsets.
What's your view, Kit?
I mean, I think that in 5 years, I agree with Carl's point of view, but if it took me along the scale, 20, 30 years, all those cyborg, everything gaming and digital related will be incorporated in our daily day-to-day life.
Yeah. But do you think PlayStation will be a part of the day-to-day life? Johnny, here's yours.
I mean, I think that PlayStation as maybe will break down in the coming years, it will sort of fade out into or higher technology when they see some of that great today. And I think PlayStation right now, it's really been a slight part of everyday life in some sort like extra free time this time. I think that PlayStation will expand a bit more. Now I think it will possibly take on a new form apart from, of course, being a console.
No, so this is what's so interesting. So the reason financing, hopefully that answers both your questions, because you can suddenly see how the decision I've got to take of do I buy Sony shares is a really interesting question, because it goes into all these things about how will we play computer games. You know, might they get regulated? Might government say that children shouldn't be allowed to play computer games, which certainly I would be supporting in our household. But more importantly, how will technology evolve? And to your question, Edgar, you guys are much more likely to be right on that than I am. I have last thing I have to do is go on a PlayStation, whereas you guys do it the whole time. So you can see this point that if you find something, there are lots of things you understand better than the grown-up, than someone like me will do. So that would be my main advice.
Well, how to save money now? How does in the future?
Has any of you heard of the concept of compounding? Yes. Oh, jeez. Compounded, that's of course, I'm dealing with the experts here. Okay. So the analogy that's usually used on this is a snowball. You know, if a snowball starts at the top of a mountain and gradually rolls over and over and picks up more and more snow. So at the end, like in all the movies, yeah, the cartoons, and the number I always think about is that if an investment went up 10% every year for 50 years, you might think it would go up 5 times. But then if you add all that up, by the last few years, it's sort of doubling every 7 years. And that means that after about 50 years, it's gone up, nearly 75, 80 times, which is kind of astonishing. So I think time is your friend. The main thing I would bring out of saving money now is if you start saving early and get the benefit of compounding, time is your friend. And the good thing for all of you guys is, starting at 11, by the time you're retiring aged 65, you'll have had the benefit of saving for 50 years. We get all of that compounding.
How can parents and caregivers be encouraged to actively participate in teaching financial literacy to their children at home?
So I always think for all forms of teaching, talking and encouraging is the best way to learn. I think some of the things that I try to do are, firstly, talk about things like PlayStation and talk about kind of decisions that are happening, watching the news. And then the one I really like, the way I was taught, I had a very naughty geography teacher, aged 12, and instead of teaching me geography, he started talking to me about stocks and shares. And he made us all do pretend investment portfolios so that we followed demos. So, and you can actually do them online now. Yeah. And so I would definitely, as a parent, sort of encourage parents to, because I think it's a very easy way for you to understand. But I think the actual investing in shared corporate, doing the demo investments means that you're following shares. You're thinking about whether Nvidia is going up today.
Yeah.
And then I think as a parent and the caregiver, helping children say, okay, why has Nvidia gone up today? What's happened? Let's go and find out a bit more. There's so much resource available, but actually as a parent and caregiver, you can take the excitement of something having changed and then have a discussion as to why that might have changed.
Yeah.
So we had an interesting day today. So aside, we talked a bit about companies. The other thing that affects markets is what's going on in the whole wide world. Are you putting up, not are you putting up taxes in your budget, or are interest rates going up or something like that? So today we've had a bizarre situation. And you get data from governments on things like how many people are unemployed, is inflation going higher or lower? And when those data points come up, the markets move all around. Anyway, the thing that's literally just happened as I was coming down is the American data for how many people, how many more jobs have been created. So last month, the data came out and it was very strong. Lots of jobs looked like they'd been created, and that moved things around. Bizarrely, today, the same data's come out and basically said that the data they published last month was completely wrong, and actually there weren't that many jobs created.
So can Davies help us learn about finance? If yes, do you have any recommendations?
That's a great question. I think, and there's lots of different points of finance, I would say. So you find sometimes strategic games like chess or risk kind of build a sort of long-term planning aspect to it that's very good when you're thinking about that. But actually what you find within finance is often games like Monopoly or poker, suit different style. And that highlights another point, which is actually, within investing and finance, there are lots and lots of different jobs and lots of different things that you can invest in. So you get people who specialize in investing in property, for instance. You get people who are really good at saying the share price is going to go up tomorrow versus people who are really good at predicting. Broadly speaking, I would say that what drives the share price in a very short term is people's emotions and perception of things. And so but conversely, over 5 to 10 years, it's whether the business is a good business or not. And so someone like me I'm really bad at sort of understanding the emotions and understanding what people are going to think the next day. But I'm okay at doing analysis to understand why a company might be a good company or a bad company. I almost have to ignore what's going on. One of the weirdest things for me is I would have almost no idea what's going to happen tomorrow in the stock market, and actually have to, it's quite strange because it's like getting an exam result every single day when you've got a portfolio in, and yet the exam you really want to take is 5 years, and so while you have to sort of be willing to sort of react when you get stuff wrong, actually you also have to be conscious of the thing I'm, in my case, really taking a view on is what happens to the company over 5 years. But conversely, different. So I guess two questions there. One, lots of games, all games I think are good. And two, I think what the reality, the different games are good for different types of people in finance highlights the fact that finance embraces lots of different skills and people tend to be good at different things in them. I think one common feature though, and it's very different from school education. So if you're doing maths, there is a right answer and you either get something right or you get something wrong, and it's kind of finished when you've got that answer. And you tend to have all the information. The skill in finance often is twofold. One is, how do I get an accurate decision with very little information? Something like the PlayStation. How am I the person who works out what's going to happen to PlayStation earlier than other people? So actually doing stuff, being willing to say this is what's going to happen before you know all the facts is a really hard skill. And then two, just being able to change your mind. The reality is that it may well be right to say probably PlayStation's going to disappear as from what I can see today, but they may turn up with a great new product that means suddenly I've changed my mind. And especially when you come out of an academic education where, you guys are probably, I'm sure, really good at exams, the skill of shifting your brain from a sort of passing exams one to a sort of working out what to do when situations change and adapt and be flexible in it, I think is the other thing that's actually a really good skill that games teaches you as well, sport as well, I think the same thing. So I'm going to ask you guys a question. If you had to pick one company to invest in, which company would you invest in? Carl, you go first.
If I was to invest in a company right now, I would probably invest in either Meta or Microsoft. As Meta recently broke the record for the highest market cap gain, beating Apple with a $180 billion market cap gain. So I would definitely invest in Meta or Microsoft, since recently they have been going increasingly up.
So the question there would be, do you want to invest in the thing that's just gone up a long ways? Or is that man that you've missed it?
You either want to invest in something that's going up and skyrocketing, it's still going up, or something that's starting up and it's going to gradually increase, getting you a bigger profit.
To the point I made earlier about reacting, you're now in the situation going, I wish I bought Meta yesterday. And then you wait another day and it goes up again. And the danger is by the time you actually get around to buying it, it's the thing. What about from their business? So Meta, so Meta own, but how many of you guys use Instagram? Nah, so this is why I personally wouldn't own Meta. Do you think you will use Instagram?
It depends on the demography of the country. If there are more like older people higher than the age of 13, that's the limit age for the people to use Instagram. And also it depends on the wealth of the country. For example, if it's more developed, then more people will be using phones and social media.
100% right. But to the analysis of Meta, I think the biggest question I would have is, again, going to why you guys have an advantage in shares like this, is the question of will you use it is probably the most important question. When you're 15, 16, will you use it or not is actually probably the biggest swing factor as to whether it will be a good investment. And for what it's worth, my own view is that generations tend to do the opposite of what their previous the idea that you'll be happy using the same thing as your parents or sort of, my sense is that change tends to happen and that your generation might like to do something a bit different. Kit, what would you invest in?
I would invest in either a source of renewable energy like Duke's Energy, is as population and electrification comes, there's going to be more need, and with climate change coming, there's going to be more need for a source of renewable energy.
Great.
And
do you know what we do for that? So you're 100% right. So there'll be electric cars, we need more electricity basically. And we need to do it from renewable sources for reasons. And so, interestingly, one of the challenges we have with that is quite hard for us to know which technology is going to win. Is it going to be wind or solar or something like that? And also very hard to know how much extra electricity we need. Remember, we were talking earlier about supply and demand. How would we know when people have built too much? So the thing we own lots of shares in a company called Prismium, which makes the cables. So when you see electricity cables that go on the pylons and underwater. And so we've taken that. What we've tried to do is find something that is the same trend that you identified, but maybe people hadn't quite thought of early enough. And so that's the one we're doing more.
Surely over time, that won't be so renewable, because over time, there are already ways to transmit energy which scientists have found from shorter distances, let's say, without cable.
Yeah, in Oxford, we've got some of the company. I think for long distances, it's very hard to do without cable. And interestingly, wind, especially offshore wind, because you're producing your electricity further away from where it's being used, actually you need more cables than before. So we got to, Chancellor, what are you investing in?
I would think in investing in probably technology companies, because now more and more people are coming to realize that technology is the key to the future. So maybe, for example, Apple. And Apple already is not a large growth stock because it gives out dividends.
Yeah.
And you can just make off a lot of money off those dividends. And not only that, but it will rapidly grow, because people realize now, even the older people now, they're trying to know how to use, for example, iPhones. iPhones are extremely common in the European world, maybe not in the Asian world. In Korea, there's normally Samsung versions, but definitely more technologies like Apple, Samsung, Sony, etc. Those will continue to rise until more advanced technology.
Or what do you think the biggest risk of owning Apple would be? Because obviously Apple's been a fantastic company for many years. What's the risk? Anyone think of the risk of owning Apple? Yeah.
That as it's been is being one of the biggest companies for a long time, that it might just crash because people will, like, they'll start investing in smaller companies because...
Yeah, that's what, so it might be that everyone already owns it.
Yeah.
So the biggest risk for Apple is that when you guys grow up and you're trying to access data and technology, is that you don't do it through a phone. You know, a phone is actually a slightly weird device. You have to remember it. But you know, none of you guys will ever have phones, really. But it's interesting. So what if you look at what Apple and Facebook are both investing in? They're both investing in glasses. And their view broadly, I'd say, is once the technology gets to a certain level, more logical to try and access it through glasses.
Apple do have the app.
Like,
They have
Vision, so they add more to wear in public, so they had some to glasses, which sort of make it much easier.
But the Holy Grail would, I think the risk for an Apple is if glasses in whatever form is the way you do it, rather than a phone, will Apple win in glasses as well? They might do because, like I say, they're investing in.
There's a risk in Apple if they got the technology to go into sort of just small glasses that you can wear that have amazing technology. You can just search things up
Exactly.
with touch, then it would actually destroy the sort of supplement of the demand for iPhones. Because if you just had glasses, if you could wear glasses that was much more accessible, it would probably destroy the series of the iPhone because being Apple's most successful product, they don't want to cancel.
Oh, you're made for this. This is exactly what.
also, but since it has the technology, that could mean
People want it.
no, it's more expensive. So it will be less demand, but there will still be supply. But for the iPhone, it will be cheaper than the glasses that you will have.
Yeah,
Because it's an open source screen.
because it takes.
Have you ever used? I used a Vision Pro the other day. It's the weirdest thing. Do you know how you control it?
Yeah.
I mean, it cuts.
No, but you're looking. It knows where you're looking on the screen because it traps your eyes, and then you just do that, and suddenly it's like pressing the mouse. Anyway, Echo, where would you invest?
So I think I would invest in small companies because they're either going to go down by just a bit, or they're going to rise and become a very big company. So
Easier to borrow something from a small truck.
Yeah.
For most of my career, that's what people did. And then literally in the last few years, because things like Apple and Microsoft just kept getting bigger and bigger, it's been the opposite. But I think you're right.
Companies like Tesla, we see less and less petrol cars right now.
Yeah.
Or electric, I suppose. And I think Tesla's current, I think it's going up, but Tesla's, they have to continue making more models.
But with cars and electric cars, what's happened is really interesting is that Tesla obviously were the market leader by a long way. But so what they've suffered from is a set of new competitors, often from Asia, coming in, making them a lot more cheaply than Tesla could make them. And actually, now it sort of almost feels as though the Chinese automotive companies might BYD, they're very good. And it goes back to this point I made earlier that things never stay the same in finance, which is what makes it really fun. It's just when you think you're winning, suddenly a new competitor emerges and they worked out how to do something similar to what you were doing but a bit cheaper.
And the sort of Tesla also then, I believe that Tesla might rise because of the new model, the Roadster. And the Roadster will be popular because it's a supercar and it's quite cheap for a supercar. It's only $60,000 from what I've seen. So it will probably be more popular because the Model X actually costs even more. Even though it has the butterfly doors, the Tesla Roadster can go from 0 to 60 in sub 1 second. Well, it might go up if lots of people think that it will go up, but if people think that it will go up more than it actually does go up, then if you invest in Tesla, then you will lose money because people will think that it will go higher than it actually goes.
That's brilliant. Thank you. Thank you very much. It was brilliant. Thanks, Lisa.
So thank you, Mr. Davies, for sharing your great insights and experiences with us today. It has definitely been an enlightening session, and I am sure that all my friends and I have gained a deeper understanding of financial literacy, investing in stocks and shares, and their importance. And thank you, everyone, and let's keep learning and growing together.